do. Flip a doujin in the bed, I'm reading manga till it's 2. Tell me that you love us if I go, I'm knowing that it's true. Cause you acting all moe and vanilla in my view. So this is for them waifus, straight 2D flex in my life, fool. If you fuck with hentai, you my dude. Let the beat right out, keep it nice and smooth, yo.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Weeabooze, the anime podcast where some of the most unqualified people try to answer your anime questions. I'm Kyle.
I'm Sam.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Jeremy.
And this week we're talking to you guys about why anime is or isn't our favorite form of media. Sure. I feel like our past topics have been a little negative, like the stigmas of anime and like sexualizing kids, and I think it'd be kind of cool to talk about the more positive side. Hopefully. I know anime may not be your guys' favorite form of media, but it is for me at least.
It certainly, competes amongst all of them. Like, there's very few forms of media that I reject.
Yeah, I think my favorite form of media is music.
Yeah,
music. And then I'd put anime second.
Absolutely.
Well, to tell a story? That's...
Yeah.
Ooh,
all time.
That's crazy to me. That's that's mind-blowing to me. Like,
this world. No, I get that.
Okay, let's talk about it. If you don't mind, I have kind of a lot to say right off the bat.
Oh, go ahead and start, dude.
Okay. Like, just to cut to the point right away is, I feel like it's my favorite form of media because animation is the least restricting way to tell a story. I guess I'll start with the one I think has the most restrictions and then get to animation. The one type of media that has the most restrictions, in my opinion, would be books. With books, it's just purely based on imagination. There are no visuals. There's no music, which I do feel is highly important to have in a form of media. And it's just entirely up to the reader to interpret what the author is trying to convey. There's just no sense of pacing either. Some people read entire books in a day, and others could spend a year reading a book.
I guess that's true.
And that changes the flow of what the author may or may not have intended.
Very true. That sucks for books, actually. But I would also say you haven't read the right books.
Maybe.
For sure.
And we can get into each form of media after I kind of point out the main points if we want to. The next form of media that's just a little less restricting, I would say, would be either comics or manga. Mm-hmm. Those, maybe not in terms of content, but I feel like the way they tell a story,
yes.
The way they tell a story is more effective than books, meaning they have the visuals and they still have pacing problems because some people just like look at the pictures and they can get the story from the pictures, but it also doesn't have music. But I feel like that visual element is just so much more impactful than a lot of books. And then the next step up would be TV and movies. And
I'd honestly argue that those are the most restrictive. If you're talking about purely like
TV and movies?
Yeah, as far as what you can show, like in books and like manga and anime, you can at least have like supernatural, like superhuman stuff happen just really easily. Like, right. So yes, there's CGI, but there is some stuff that you can only do in books that you could never do in cinema correctly.
I would argue that regardless of these restrictions on TV and movies, they are given the benefit or the bonus of having the most real, like person-to-person interaction, basically. Like, just because it looks like people this is happening to, they also get the benefit of music, whatever they want. Every movie has a soundtrack. Mm-hmm. I would say that's a reason as to why music and TV shows and movies are the most popular. That doesn't necessarily mean they're my favorite, though.
Well, what I mean by less restrictive is you can't do like the extraordinary with them. There's some stories that, like Paprika is a really good example of this. I think we'll do an episode about it later, but like that could not have happened as a movie or a TV show. I don't think. I don't think it ever could have happened, and I think that because movies and TV kind of have that restriction. Like, sure, they have music and they have visuals to go along with it, and they have sound design. Mm-hmm. But I think that there are just some stories that cannot be told with movies that could be told with a book or an anime or a manga.
Possibly. But in regards to restriction, movies and TV shows have so much. They have almost everything, but they hold you back regarding your own perception of reality, and that sounds more deep than I wanted it to turn out. But what the point I'm trying to make is you always associate actors with either their real life or previous roles.
Yeah.
And then even CGI debatably kind of takes you away a little bit from like engaging in the story. And then that would finally bring me to why I think anime is the best. And that's because it's the most accurate way for the author to put what is in his mind onto paper and show it to everyone. Because it's all uniform. It is one type of media. It is strictly animation. And it has all the other elements that live action has. It has the music, it has the voice acting, it has the sound. I mean, it all comes together so fluidly.
I agree almost entirely.
Okay.
For me, it's music number one, and then anime would be number two, immediate number two.
When I thought of this, and obviously music isn't on this list, I didn't even consider it as a form of media to tell a story.
I think it does, like depending on regardless of whether it's telling a story or not, any form of media will allow for some form of reflection.
Of course.
And for me, music is number one in that sense. But then I'm going to put anime at number two. When you talk about restrictions, I think that's a really good way or a good reason why I think anime is why I hold it in such a high regard, is because, one, there is a humongous just catalog of anything you could possibly want, and all of it's unrestricted. Because of the freedom that's allowed in anime, you get this gigantic catalog of anything you want, anything can happen, any sort of character or story or plot can be made, and that's exciting. It's fun to watch something knowing that literally anything can happen at any moment.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what I like about it. I love movies. I love some TV shows. But for me, I go to anime just because there's so much more of it.
And under the same topic that we were talking about before is like a stigma versus anime, an outside perspective on it. A lot of times when I bring up anime to people that I know don't watch it, or people older, they always view it as childish. Mostly because it's colorful, I would say. It's just the most, I don't know, you can attach the most meaning to it because people always strive to be children, essentially. Like, have the most fun, be the happiest you can be. Like, it's just childlike thought.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going with least restrictive storytelling, where would you put like video games in that? Because you can do the same thing with anime, where you can do anything. You can do the extraordinary, but then you're placed into the decision making role, and I think that brings a level of interaction.
Yeah, but I also think that almost takes away from the narrative. Don't get me wrong, I love games, and in some games you have the best stories of all time. But I think it's different when you're the main character. Because then you're suddenly, even though the story's already made for you, since you're the one playing it, it's your story, you're not watching it.
You're still forced to make those decisions in game.
Yeah.
I mean, forced to be put into that perspective.
But if you're watching anime, the same decision happens every time you watch it. Like, it's not like at least with a video game, you have a choice in some regard.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so.
I don't know. I feel like video games are kind of like that. There's too many variables to video games to kind of fit in a perfect spot in this list of what is a better form of media, because I so often find myself finishing a video game and saying to myself, that video game had a good story for a video game. It's so rare that a video game has like a movie quality story.
I think there's a lot less examples, and you're right about that.
But they have a better effect.
Yeah, but when you do finish a video game that has like this lasting story and these characters that you like connected with in some way, when you finish it, it really like you have to like put the controller down, like think about life for a while.
But I can't remember the last time I played a game like that.
Yeah, and I think it's
they're
different.
definitely few and far between.
BioShock.
I guess we'll call it the sensation, the feeling.
Cool.
The feeling, at least that I get after playing a game, doesn't matter how good the story is, and I've played some with really good stories, it's never the same feeling as just watching a really good series or finishing a really good movie. It's different because when you finish a movie or a really good series, something like that, it's just immediate reflection. When you finish a game that has a really good story, the first thing you get is accomplishment. You feel like you've finished, you've beaten something.
That's how the story ends.
Yeah, but still, like I never feel like when I finish a show, oh, I win.
One thing I think that plays into that is that I think in games it's harder to get full immersion because of just the nature of a game itself. Like, let's say you are immersed and you are this character and you're playing, like, and then you screw up, or you do something stupid, you fall off a cliff, like right before the final boss or something, or the final boss takes like 50 tries to kill. Then you're totally pulled out of the game, and you're like, this is a game. It's not not a story driven experience.
And that's what
anymore.
separates games from the typical story driven media. I just think the amount of good stories I've seen in video games is
they
just
pale
in comparison to anime or any other form of media.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
I mean, it's definitely a good point to bring up, video games, and that kind of just skipped over my mind.
Yesterday, I was having a talk with one of my roommates. He walked in the room. He was like, "Name your favorite 3 movies of all time. Go." And I was like, I couldn't do it. But then I was like, wait. I asked him. I was like, does anime count? Because I started thinking, is it fair to even judge the two cinematic movies, real live action movies versus anime? Is it fair to even compare them?
Well, like, let's say you said Toy Story was one of your favorites. People wouldn't be like, oh, well, that's animated. That doesn't count. It's still
yeah,
it's
I know,
still a movie.
but I'm saying the thought came into my mind, and it stuck with me. It was so splintered into my mind that I actually had to ask him. I was like, does anime count? Because it's not impossible, but it's very hard to compare the two. It's almost like they're not on the same playing field.
That's funny. I took a film class in college, and on the first day of school, the teacher said, let's start by going around and saying what your favorite movie is. And I obviously considered saying, like, an animated movie,
What
but
movie?
because no one...
because of the stigma of anime.
Yes, exactly. But because no one, up until like it got to my turn, had said an animated film, I just picked a different movie and moved on. And when we finished, the first thing the teacher said was, I'm surprised no one said an animated film.
Yeah.
That's so cool. She really said
Yeah,
that.
played.
Yeah.
But it is weird. I think that'd be a fair thing to talk about. Is it a fair contrast? Like, does anime just have an unfair advantage over live action?
Ooh, okay, that's actually very
Well,
true.
that's my point. I think it does. And with the whole, it has lesser restrictions than live action. And that's the point I'm trying to make.
They just tell different stories. Like, if I'm
Not
looking
always.
for... Well, what I mean is that, like, a humanizing story, something that makes you think about just a more human emotion, I feel like a live-action film could do better.
Yeah,
like,
it's
something
really
something
good.
that's really,
So-
like,
like a
real
play.
and dear
So
to
are you more attached? Do you tend to be more attached to characters in a live action movie as opposed to something animated because there's not an actual person behind it?
I would say so. I would say that I identify with characters in a live-action film more than I would with an animated character.
That's interesting because to me, I've seen a lot of like sad movies and sad scenes and things that meant jack shit to me. Like I just didn't care about.
Yeah.
But I've seen so many scenes in anime that I was just like, oh my god, like it's so sad. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because the storytelling's better
honestly-
or because what. But for some reason, I've had more of those moments with anime way more often than with live action anything.
I think it's just they have lots of unfair advantages. The animation, yes, and the longevity of it. Like if they get enough time, they can tell as long a story as they want. That's the reason books are ranked highly. I would say is because they can tell the whole story as much as they want, whereas movies and TVs are limited.
Yeah.
It has lots of unfair advantages, but I think a good blanket statement here, I think we're delving too far into it, is that we're just evolving the types of media we use. Is like I said, a play is a lot what Hunter was feeling. Like it was good because it makes people feel like this could happen in real life, obviously, and then movies can branch, animation can branch, and it's just better and better each time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, like, as an example, like, I felt more attached to characters in Breaking Bad, a TV series, than I have to, say, Steins Gate, one of my favorite anime, series I've ever seen. And I don't know if it's the difference in storytelling or if it was because it was...
The length.
Well, in that show particularly, there was nothing that was extraordinary. There was nothing that couldn't actually have happened, and I think that makes it more humanizing.
Well, I think that might be delving into a different topic almost, regarding, is characterization more important than the plot of a show? And we may talk about that topic later on, because what you just mentioned is kind of how I feel about Cowboy Bebop. There's so little plot going on, but every once in a while you get a small glimpse into into the plot itself. We always see their personal life, but then we see how it finally wraps up in the end, and you realize that the point of the story was their everyday life and not the fact that they're bounty hunters. But I feel like we're running a little long. We should probably wrap up this topic. But in the end, I would say some of the final points we touched on is that like all forms of media are still evolving. And I think we still differ on what we think our favorite form of media is. But I don't know. For me, it's always been anime because it has so few restrictions. And what about you guys?
In terms of visual stories, I will say anime is my favorite form of media.
Okay.
I'm not sure I ever answered the question. I talked a lot about different forms of media, but as far as the most that have stuck with me and I've really enjoyed, I'd probably put anime at the top of the list of stuff that I can kind of go back to.
Yeah, anime definitely, or doesn't necessarily win, but ranks amongst nonfiction. I find it really hard to find an anime that about a real person or just normal people in general to be very good in anime. Maybe that's because I haven't seen one, but
right. And of course there are certain exceptions. Like there's definitely a masterpiece among different forms of media. There's probably, Sam, you probably have like the perfect song, and I know I have seen like a manga that doesn't even compare to some of the anime I've watched. So there are certain exceptions, but I'm saying as a whole, I feel like anime is the best.
The most good. Like the most
Can that be the title of this podcast?
The most good.
Anime,
the
quality,
quantity.
the most good.
it is the most good.
The quantity of stuff that, like, out of the percentage of anime as a whole, like the highest percentage of it that you enjoy.
Right, exactly.
That's
good. Yes.
The most good.
The most good. So now let's get into what we've been watching. Sam, you were excited about this, and now you look tired.
Was I excited about this?
So we haven't been able to talk about the most recent episode of Hero Academia, have we?
I don't think we have yet, but I'd love to go into that.
God damn,
it
was so good.
I was wrong. If anyone listened to last episode, my initial assumption was All Might was going to get fucked up. Oh no, he does not.
Literally,
All Might is a G.
The most anime thing I could possibly imagine happened. Like, He takes punches. I can't punch him. Well, I'll just punch him harder, and it'll work now.
Yes, that was.
It was so stupid, and I loved.
I loved every
second of it. But away from hype, I'd like to go to Kiznaiver really fast because I don't know what's
happening.
I don't know
what
about
is
the ending.
happen?
I don't know if I liked the way the last episode ended. I think it was very odd. Like they're almost making
it really came
a
out of
villain.
nowhere.
Just to rephrase, you don't mean the last episode. You mean the most recent.
Right, sorry. The most
11.
recent episode. What's the blue-haired girl's name? The audience is under the impression that she's about to put the entire city under the Kiznaiver effect, and then the episode just ends. Which is weird because for a little bit you thought she was evil, and then you suddenly never considered her a villain, and then you finally start to almost feel
understand exactly.
She's the victim, and then out of nowhere she's gonna try and kill everyone or like hurt everyone. I don't know. At the very beginning, since episode 1, I think we've all thought the last episode is really gonna make or break the story, and it still is, but for a very different reason than I initially thought.
Well,
what do you think of it? Do you think it was weird? I thought it was totally odd.
No, I feel like it needed a shift. It needed a tonal shift. In terms of plot, it couldn't be progressing at the same rate it was.
Okay.
I was expecting a change like this. I had no predictions, but I knew it wasn't going to be just completely toying back and forth between I feel this way, you feel that way.
Yeah. I'm not worried for it. Well, maybe I'm a little worried for it. I don't think that the ending, I don't think last episode was bad. I think it was a very good episode, but I think next episode is going to completely determine my overall thought of the show.
Then, moving on, Ushio and Tora ended. It was like a 40-episode series. I loved every minute of it. It was fantastic.
What's that one about? I've never even heard that one.
Ushio and Tora is the one you walked in on when I was watching it that one time, and it had a very scary
Gotcha. Yep.
demon lady.
Yeah.
It's very 90s. I
Yeah.
highly recommend it. Don't go Stray Dogs ended
Yeah.
with a season 2 cliffhanger.
I thought it was kind of obvious that the guy looking for his daughter or that little girl was obviously someone very important, but I really like who he is. I like the fact that even though... Fuck it, I'm going to spoil it.
No, don't.
Okay. I like the fact that you know who he is, and even though you know his intentions, he doesn't act on his intentions. I think that's as broad as I can make it, because he's almost sadistic. Like, he's just in it for the challenge.
I
Almost.
get what you're saying. I've just stopped caring about the series.
Ooh, I really didn't like the episode before the last one, but the newest episode, the last episode of the season, I thought was fantastic.
Well,
Are you keeping up with I actually don't remember the name of the actual series. Attack on Train.
I am.
Cabaneri.
Fortress.
No, Code.
The hype levels have like
Jetsu.
fallen off a cliff. It's
terrible.
It's
bad.
not worth watching
No.
anymore.
I
I was so stoked about it.
Didn't even waste my time on it, boys.
Me neither.
No,
The
I
best
mean,
part is the
Air
English
five.
speaking guy.
oh yeah, yeah.
The random English speaking Steam tech.
No, it's just like you said. It's gone off the rails, and no pun intended.
That was definitely intended. Don't you fucking lie to yourself.
Yeah, I don't even understand what's going on. Wait, did you watch the most recent one?
Was it today?
Well, probably because it was yesterday for me or something like that.
No, I have not watched that episode.
Well, I won't spoil too much for you, but I found
Is
it
that the
was.
last episode?
I think no, second to last.
Okay.
I found it was hilarious that he gave himself a cool guy haircut before he went to the final battle. I get it's a symbolic thing, but it didn't fit his character.
For me, ever since the fucking what's the pink hair guy? BB or something?
Yeah, Biba
or something. Ever since that guy came in, I was like, this is garbage.
Right, it's just
This is
lost.
so bad.
Yeah, I mean, and then one more thing, real quick. The second to last episode of Assassination Classroom came out, and I'm speechless about.
Was
that
it good?
as well.
I've been
Assassination
waiting.
Classroom?
Yeah,
Yes.
Jesus
I've been
Christ.
waiting to start it. I've been wanting to start it, but I just never did.
I thought we talked about it, but
I think you told me not to.
no. I definitely didn't tell you not to. It
Well,
just
isn't
starts.
season 1, almost like a big intro for season 2.
So it's just very slow to begin with, and it takes a long time for them to get to the point. And once they do, it's just outstanding. And this second to last episode is just, I'm speechless.
Might start it. It's only 24 episodes.
No,
total?
it's long.
Oh, is it like 40 something?
I think so. So next week, I feel like we should kind of go over that. I don't know really what's going to happen. Next week is Anime Expo.
Oh yeah.
So we have, I think we've narrowed it down to one of two things. I mean, maybe three, and the third option would be we're not releasing an episode next week.
Yeah.
But
LA special.
we're not all going to Anime Expo.
LA meetup.
Well, maybe.
Well,
Kyle's going to California for Anime Expo.
right.
Me and Hunter are just going to California. Incidentally, we'll be there during Anime Expo. We may go to one of the days, possibly Saturday, and we may also record an episode since we'll all be there.
I'm gonna
just-
be there for
LA
the Faku
special.
panel.
I'm sick of the Faku panel. I've been there every year. Same stuff. I can't stand Faku anymore because you have to
It's
pay
all
for it now.
boobs and
You have to
porn.
pay for it.
The panel?
You have to pay for Faku.
Oh yeah, I know. I can't use it anymore. Actually, you're
What
right.
are you guys saying?
Faku.
It's definitely a hentai site.
The second option would be that once I get back from Anime Expo, I believe that would be on a Monday, I would just do a solo episode and kind of talk to you guys about my experience there.
Which would be really boring.
I'm sure. I mean, it would be a short episode. It wouldn't be. It would
You're
just be
a
a
bitch.
few minutes, just so you guys have.
Basically,
Sorry.
expect an LA special
LA special.
from me, Hunter, and Kyle.
I don't want to pack my thing. I don't want to pack my.
I'll pack it.
We're falling apart, you
I'll
guys.
pack that shit so hard.
If anyone is going to Anime Expo and you see me,
We're
if
going to
you...
have our own booth.
No, we're not.
Panel.
Maybe one day
At the Weeabooze.
at the Weeabooze
We'll
booth.
be selling t-shirts.
Can you imagine one day?
That'd be sick. Anyways, if you see me and maybe Hunter and Sam, if you know what You don't know what they look like. You might know what I look like.
But we know what you look like.
That's yes, we do. So if you see me, feel free to say hi. So the director of Fooly Cooly is going to be there.
Sweet.
The director of Fooly Cooly has also done the Evangelion movies. Is still working on the Evangelion movies.
Is he sane?
Probably not.
Not.
The voice of Haruko from Fooly Cooly is going to be there. She does. Is it the marching band girl in Kill la Kill?
Oh.
Yeah.
The Nani desu ka girl.
And today they announced that coincidentally, the character designer from Kisniver.
Oh, that's cool.
So if I'm lucky enough to get an autograph from him, he'll probably do a sketch.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Have him draw you.
Wait, which character?
Me.
No, wait, would you have him draw a character? Which character?
All of them. No, I don't know.
All of your characters for me. I don't have much time.
Just because she's
That's
the
not
most
what I asked.
just because she's the most visual appealing, I'd probably do like the kind of crazy airhead girl.
Yeah, I could understand that.
Remember when I showed you that picture of a Overwatch cosplayer? And you recognized her.
It's like
Well, I know the name. It's the group of them is called Spiral Cats.
Spiral Cats. Tasha.
They're gonna be there.
Tasha. That's her name. That's pretty cool.
I hope I see them.
Are you gonna cosplay Kyle
Yeah,
as Tracer?
as Tracer.
Something different every day, or just one thing?
Just Tracer.
Just
Okay.
different.
But
different
every day,
skins of Tracer.
every day I'm gonna wear progressively less clothing. So
You're gonna finish going off as Roadhog?
yeah.
Okay.
Then Makoto Shinkai is gonna be there.
Announcing his new movie.
Well, yeah, the premiere of his new movie is gonna be there.
Oh, the premiere.
Yeah.
Please tell me it's Saturday.
I don't know.
It better be Saturday.
I'm looking forward to him. I may not get an autograph because I already have an autograph from Makoto Shinkai.
It's right there.
Check it out.
It says
Who else?
Kyle on it.
The original manga author of Sakamoto is going to be there.
That's cool.
The original manga author of Your Lie in April is going to be there. That's one of my... It's amazing.
I'm showing interest in your interests.
The creator,
babe.
the creator of Macross is going to be there,
Oh, that's cool.
including
That's cool.
Macross Delta. And then one last thing I just kind of pulled off was the entire English cast of Bebop is going to be there.
I honestly
That's
thought you would say
really
Bebop,
cool.
and I was like, nah, there's no way. But
And
that's awesome.
they're
Holy
also
shit.
it's a ticketed event, but they're going to be at like a Bebop jazz concert.
That's so
That's
fucking legit.
really
But
cool.
I didn't even mention the other ticketed events. I don't want to mention some because you just don't care, like the Love Live one. But yeah. See, that's the reaction I get. But One Punch Man, the voice actor, he's going to be there, and
Saitama?
the Saitama and the band that does the opening, they're going to do a concert. You can see that.
Oh, that's cool.
Things like that.
Wah, 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 wah.
That's how it goes. We want to thank Hentai Dude for our intro music, and we want to thank Kid Boo for our outro music. Please keep asking us questions. We want to get the word out, so if you can share this in some sort of way, reblog it, or just tell your friends about it, that would be great.
Yeah.
And of course, if you feel like it, please give us an iTunes review. So I think that's about it. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.
Goodbye.
Cash smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit. Cash smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze, sacred fire. Don't be mad, I'm lit.
And these week.
Und dies week?
This week,
and this
we are
week.
talking about the anime.